If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more of my content. Also be sure to press the notification button down below, that way when a new video comes out, you'll be notified. Well, it's that time of year again. Time to bring out the Christmas tree, sing some carols, and watch some good old Christmas specials. Specials such as Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and Frosty the Snowman. Usually Christmas specials give off this warm and fuzzy energy to make you feel great about the holiday. However, there is one Christmas special that I bet you 99.99% of you have never seen nor heard of, and for good reason. Mainly due to its rather very dark subject matter. This is where Peace on Earth comes in. Coming out in 1939, during which many claim to be the golden age of animation, Peace on Earth is an 8-minute short that showcases cute woolly critters celebrating Christmas after the extinction of all of humanity. Oh yeah, we got a good one here today, but how good is it? Well, let's find out. So, what's the plot? Well, it's Christmas Eve and we see 3 little animals singing Peace on Earth. Trust me, you'll be hearing that song a lot through the special, they're not very subtle about it. We then see an elderly squirrel who's visiting his grandkids for the holidays. He sings the verse, Peace on Earth and goodwill to all men. The kids want to know, what are men? So the elderly squirrel explains the history of men, and it is not pretty. Basically, the squirrel talks about how mankind were basically monsters and had always been at war with each other, finding stupid reasons to fight with one another. Then one giant war came about and wiped out the entire human race, with the last 2 humans on the battlefield killing each other. So the animals come in and clean up the mess, becoming highly evolved and making their own little society, and using materials such as helmets and tanks as homes. So the elderly squirrel puts his grandchildren to bed and wishes for a Merry Christmas, with peace on earth and goodwill to all men.
That's really fucked up.
Quite. So what's the good? Well, for starters, the animation. Of course, this came out in the 1930s, so it looks very smooth and well done, but then again, this was mainly because animation was allowed to have a bigger budget back then. The animal designs are more typical for the time period, with big eyes, anthropomorphic features, that kind of stuff. By the way, that's an uncredited Mal Blanc, the original voice of most of the Looney Tunes, voicing the elderly squirrel here. However, while the animal scenes are usual for the time, it's the war scenes that truly show what animation can do. The war scenes give off this eerie, dark, and pessimistic view, which brings the point across. Not to mention, some of these scenes look like they've been put in rotoscope, as it looks a little bit realistic. The style is more relevant to that of the First World War, with the tanks, soldiers, and guns looking like they came from the conflict. Which makes sense, since at the time, the First World War was the most destructive conflict in history. Oh, don't worry, we'll get to that in a moment. Also, the message is pretty good if not shoved down your throat, and lines with the Christmas spirit. After all, it is a holiday where peace on earth and goodwill to all men. Damn it, now they got me saying it. But in the end, we all just end up fighting each other. Now, you may have noticed that this came out at the end of 1939.
Something about that date.
As you guessed, World War II officially started in 1939. Germany just conquered Poland, with Britain and France declaring war on Germany. For more details on the event, please watch my previous video on the subject, link in the description down below. Now, many of you would believe that the cartoon was a response to the Nazi invasion of Poland, but not exactly. You see, the 1930s were a turbulent time, with Germany, Italy, and Japan taking territories for themselves bit by bit. With Italy invading the East African nation of Ethiopia in 1935, Japan invading China in 1937, and Germany annexing Austria in 1938. However, 1939 was when things really looked like the world was heading towards another war. Germany invaded Czechoslovakia, Italy invaded the Balkan country of Albania, Japan was in the midst of its invasion of China, only to have a border war with the Soviet Union when they tried to invade Mongolia. Not only did Germany invade Poland in September 1939, but so did the Russians, and in 1939, Russia would invade Finland. Case in point, war was already there, it just led to something bigger. World War II would be the most destructive conflict in human history, with 50 million people dead from it. So yeah, sadly this cartoon couldn't prevent that from happening. In 1955, there would be a remake called Goodwill to Men, directed by William Hanna and Joseph Barbera, which the premise is still the same with the same line of dialogue. However, the only difference here is the animation, which is having this Tom and Jerry 50 style to it, with the old critter giving the story being a mouse instead of a squirrel. In fact, the young mice here actually look a lot like Jerry. But the war scenes here look even more terrifying, and they go into the evolution of the weapons of war and nuclear annihilation, which many post-apocalyptic stories tend to go for these days. Overall, despite its rather dark tone, if you want to watch something new for this holiday season, I recommend you watch Peace on Earth. It's about 9 minutes long, so you can watch it whenever you have the free time. What can I say but peace on earth and goodwill to men.
Yes, peace on earth. Yes, sirree, peace on earth.